Okay, so we're going to do 6.2 function notation. So we learned a little bit about functions on Friday. So remember that functions have exactly one output for every input. Okay, so we said about the states. Two people can live in the same state, but one person can't live in two different states at the same time. So we worked with linear equations, and we worked with the equation y equals mx plus b. Now we're only going to change it into function notation. So basically it's going to be an f of x, or f can be any letter. F is just the name of the function. Okay, x is still your input value just as it was in linear equations. That hasn't changed. So now when we use this, instead of putting y equals mx plus b, it's going to say f of x equals mx plus b. The only difference is that f of x is still your output. The input's going to give you what number you're putting in for x. So when we look down here, I have the f of x is equal to x plus 5. So if I want to figure out what the output is, or what y is, when x is 2, I would put f of 2. That means I'm going to put 2 in for x. So I get 2 plus 5. So that would tell me that f of 2 is 7. Okay, so 7 would be your output. 2 is your input. It's just a different way of writing it. It's still the same thing. Now there's multiple ways we can do this. We can do this with graphing, or with tables, or with ordered pairs. So first we're going to look at the graphing. So on GMM, when you do these problems, they'll give you a graph and it'll have the numbers a lot nicer, so it'll be a lot easier to see. So they'll give you a graph and they'll tell you to find some function. So this one's saying find c of 2. Again, c is just the name of the function. It doesn't really matter what the name is. It's telling you that 2 is your input value. We know that the input value is x. So we have to locate x equals 2 on this graph. Well, when x is 2, that's right here, we want to figure out what the output is. The output is y. So you'll go down until you find where it's at on y on this. Well, that is right here. I know it's not very nice to see on this. On GM, it'll be a lot nicer. When x is 2, y is -3. So the answer of this is -3. When you input 2, it's going to output -3 on that graph. Okay. Now if you do a problem like this one, it's going to tell you find the input for h of 4. When you look at this, if you remember, when we do our vertical line test, right, that's going to fail the vertical line test. So there's going to be a button that you click on GMM that's going to tell you not a function. Okay, and you would just click that. There is no output if it's not even a function to begin with. So that's always going to be the first thing you want to check. All right, give me a second to solve this. Okay, some other problems. So you can have ordered pairs. Ordered pairs, they're going to say find, this is the one that's like the easiest. They say find f of 5, and then they have their set notation. Okay, so if they told you to find f of 5, well again, this is the input. So you just have to find when x is 5, your output is the y. So f of 5 is going to equal 7. When you input 5, you output 7. Okay, so that one's pretty easy. Again, you have to be careful if they had something like this one. Tell you to find the f of -6. Don't automatically go and find -6. You have to first make sure that it's a function. Up here, this is a function because none of our x values repeat. Down here, when you look, 7 repeats. So this one you would click the button that says not a function. Okay, that one's not going to have an output. And I think there was one more that I wanted to look at. Let's erase this. Alright, so the last kind of problems that they'll give you in GMM will look like an equation. Okay, and it's going to tell you to find f of 6. Okay, now these ones will be functions, so you don't have to worry about that. All you're going to do is this is your input. So f of 6 has to go in for x. Okay, so you're going to multiply first. So -5, right? You simplify, you get -10. So you're going to get that your output, when your input is 6, your output is -13. So that's going to be your answer. It's just like before with regular linear equations. You put in your x and you solve for your y. Instead of having a y, you just have this function notation now. And I'll do one more. So that was with linear equations. They're also going to give you a few quadratic equations, which I know we haven't done a whole lot with quadratics yet. But you can still solve the equations. We don't need to know about the graphs. Okay, so that's the quadratic. Again, it's not y equals mx plus b. It's going to have an x squared and then another x. But you just put the x in for everywhere that there's an x. So this is going to tell you find g of -4. So you put -4 in for x.